In this video, I'll be going over some important hotkeys and shortcuts. It isn't necessary to memorize all of them, but it can make navigating around and accessing tools a lot faster. Each tool on the toolbar here has a specific letter that will open their tool. We'll have a list of all the toolbar hotkeys on a Google Slides. You can find a link to it on our Design Google Classroom. If you hover your mouse over the icon, you can see the letter in parentheses over here. So in this case, if I were to press M, then I could use the rectangle marquee tool. You can also press Shift M to open the other tools here. So if I press Shift M, then I can use the elliptical tool. This applies to all the other tools here as well. Now let's go over maneuvering around the workspace. You can hold Alt and then scroll to zoom in or to zoom out. Another way to zoom in and out is to use Control- and Control+. If you're zoomed in far enough, you can move around your screen by pressing space and clicking and dragging, like this. We can use Control-Z to go back in our history. If we want to reselect the ellipse here, we can just press Control-Z. Another way to undo our actions is to click on this icon here. It'll open up the history panel. Here it will list your actions and older versions of your document. If you were to click on one, it brings you back to that older version. To change your screen mode, press F. You can switch between the full screen with your menu bar, full screen, and standard mode. To change your primary color here, you can press X. This will switch your foreground and background color with each other, like this. Now let's go over some layer adjustment hotkeys. To create any layer, press Ctrl-Shift-N. To select layers, you can hold Control and click on them. Unlike just clicking on layers regularly, this way you can select more than one at the same time. If you Control-click on a layer that's already selected, it will be deselected. Now, if you hold Shift, you will select the first layer that you have clicked, the second, and everything between them. If you want to group it, press Ctrl-G. To resize a layer, press Ctrl-T. Click and drag from any of the points. As you may notice, the image will keep the same proportions. However, if you hold Shift while you click and drag, you can stretch or compress the image. If you would like to resize it about a reference point, you can check off this box that says Toggle Reference Point. You can set a reference point for your layer by clicking one of the boxes on this grid. Right now, it's in the center, as you can see here. If I hold Alt while dragging, it will resize about the center. I can also change it to the top right corner. If you hold Alt and drag, you can see how it affects the resizing. To duplicate the layer, you can press Ctrl-J. This makes another copy of it. Now let's go over some shortcuts for the brush tool. To use the brush, press B. If you want to increase or decrease the size, you can press Alt, right-click, and then drag right or left. To increase or decrease the hardness, you can press Alt, right-click, and then you can drag up or down. And that wraps up our hotkeys and shortcuts for Photoshop.